three-part question for you. I know you're going to be able to sit there and get this, though. What are the 3 steps involved out of your book? What's the difference between structured and unstructured analytics, not data, analytics? And can you share with us a live example of a company that's doing it right?
Yeah, definitely. So what I've written about in the book, and I think that's something that is kind of applicable to almost any industry. When we look at sales and marketing, and I see a lot of people are digital marketing, etc. So this is kind of no news to you guys. It's all about customer acquisition, right? The first thing, and then the other thing is customer innovation to improve your products and services, and then eventually customer service, right? So if I put a 3x3, the model that we work with a lot of our clients is we'll say, okay, for all these 3 domains, you've got to have some listen, understand, and act paradigm, if you will. And what that means is there's so much stuff out there these days. Everyone talks of information overload. With the beacon technology, with other things that people are producing so much data, you've got to be leveraging that and kind of ignoring the noise and getting to the signal very quickly. To Judy's point, make it almost real time, right? So if you follow a framework like that of listen, understand, and act, you need to be able to convert whatever you're listening for, understand whether you call it sentiment analysis. We're working with Carnival Cruise Line, for example, and what they're trying to do is just phenomenal, and it's all in the press as well. When you begin to understand, do the text analytics, what are you then doing for closing that feedback loop at every angle, for acquisition, absolutely for innovation, as well as making sure that your customer, once you've built them, is not walking away. So this could be, and voice of customer, what even Gartner I think calls it is, sometimes you have to go with direct voice of customer, which means customers are telling you directly what's going on, whether it's through surveys, focus groups, etc., or they will tell you indirect, right? It's through social media. I mean, you can be doing a lot of this Twitter, Facebook, analysis, and really try to understand. A company here in Atlanta itself, produces Graco strollers, right? So Rubbermaid owns that brand. They have a subdivision within their company listening to what mothers are saying on blogs, etc., for what their products should be like. And that feed actually goes into a lot of product development. So you can do small things like that to really make sure you're coming up with some innovative products. But the idea is, if you have a framework, and it goes back to the structured versus unstructured analytics, you can try to bifurcate these things into saying, hey, you know what, inferred, as well as direct, as well as indirect voice, these are some of the paradigms I'm going to put in place. After that, you can have metrics, processes, and then technology supporting that to really come up with a solution. And that's how you kind of try to really kind of solve this whole riddle. Because if you try to start boiling the ocean, I think we've seen that a lot of our clients is, where do I start? I've got all this data inside, outside. Where do I start to try to make some meaningful, actionable items? So that's one of the examples. I just want to add to something for a live example. We also do a lot of work in retail, and Walgreens in Chicago is one of our big retail clients. For all that Walgreens does, it's a retail company. We are building exactly what, Dan, you mentioned. They have a lot of, we actually did the card for them, the loyalty cards, so that they can recognize people if you're online. But then when someone walks into their store, how do you tie the web data to someone who's in the store? That omni-channel thing, how do you tie that all up? So we're actually working with them actually on beacon technology, etc., to really start merging those 2 things, whether it's through smartphone or your cards that you might have in the pocket. And it's such an exciting field because you can do exactly the same thing, the example that you mentioned.
How many folks actually carry